a galaxy forged by war and ruled by empires of steel, one fragile world arrives with nothing to offer, except a single flower. On the edge of a dying star, a human ambassador stands before a ruler who has forgotten what life feels like. No weapons, no wonders, just a memory of earth, of beauty, of peace. And when the flower blooms, 17 star systems remember how to dream again. This is the flower that remembered. The Ecliptine Accord Hall floated at the edge of a dying star, its vast crystalline walls humming with frequencies just beyond human hearing. Ambassador Elias Wren wished he couldn't hear them. The sound vibrated in his skull, like a swarm of angry bees in his bones. He had been waiting for 4 hours. 4 hours of watching alien emissaries from 100 worlds present offerings to the High Sovereign of the Valtari Dominion. They brought wonders that defied logic. A cube of folded space-time that could slow entire planets, weapons that could rewrite molecular structure, energy cores that pulsed with captured quasars. Elias looked down at what he carried, a small metal tin, dull and scratched, marked with the fading logo of a long-forgotten coffee brand. He sighed. Perfect. Humanity's first impression on a galactic superpower. A rusty lunchbox. From beside him, his translator stirred. Lysara, a Valtari of soft violet scales and 4 luminous eyes. Her voice rippled like glass and water. "Ambassador Elias," she whispered, "perhaps this is unwise. The Sovereign has rejected 23 delegations today. One offered a planet's worth of antimatter. Another a cloned sun." Elias smiled faintly. "Guess I'll fit right in then. I don't even have a light bulb." Lysara's eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of distress. In the few days since he'd arrived, she had grown oddly protective of this reckless human who spoke too freely and laughed in rooms where laughter was forbidden. "They will summon you soon," she said quietly. "I hope the Sovereign sees what I see." "And what's that?" Elias asked. "Something alive." The air shifted. A chime sounded, a tone that made the very light vibrate. "The delegation of Terra," intoned the hall's voice, "may now approach the Sovereign." Elias swallowed hard and stepped forward. At the far end of the chamber sat High Sovereign Ithra Val upon a throne grown from living crystal. Her form shimmered like quicksilver. Her 6 eyes burned with ancient patience. She had ruled 17 systems and crushed 1,000 rebellions. The weight of empires seemed to rest in her stillness. "Human," she said, her voice layered in harmonics that trembled through the air. "Present your offering. What power does your world offer the Dominion?" Elias bowed slightly, opening his tin. Inside lay a small plant, its green leaves trembling in the artificial gravity, white petals half unfurled. The faint, sweet scent of jasmine drifted through the chamber. A murmur spread among the council. Some hissed, others laughed outright. "You bring vegetation?" One counselor sneered. "A weed?" Elias ignored them. He spoke softly. "It's a flower, jasmine. It doesn't heal. It doesn't fight. It doesn't make energy. It just lives. My grandmother grew it on Earth. She said it reminded her that not everything has to do something to be worth keeping." The Sovereign stared at the tiny bloom. The laughter died. The silence that followed was heavy, sacred. Slowly, impossibly, Ithra Val rose from her throne. The hall trembled as she descended the steps, each movement echoing through the crystalline floor. When she stopped before Elias, her hands, enormous and clawed, hovered inches from the plant. "May I?" she asked, her voice a trembling whisper that silenced the universe. Elias nodded. She took the flower with the delicacy of someone holding a dying star. Her scales shifted, deep violet, then pale gold, then silver white. A single tear fell, thick and metallic, hissing softly as it struck the floor. 3 centuries ago," she said at last, "before the wars, before we forged our empire from blood and fire, we had gardens. We had scent. We had color. Then we chose strength over beauty, and we forgot what living things smelled like." She looked up at Elias, her voice breaking. "We have not grown a single plant in 300 years. Elias swallowed hard. "Then grow this one. All it needs is light, water, and a little patience." The Sovereign studied him for a long moment. Then she turned to her council. "Let it be known," she said, her voice filling every atom of the hall, "that the world called Earth shall enter the Dominion, not as subjects, but as equals. Not for their technology, but for their memory of what we have lost." She faced Elias again, the glow of her scales turning to a warm gold. Your kind is young, fragile. But you remember what my empire forgot, that civilizations are not built merely to endure, but to feel. That life, in all its small, fragrant forms, is the one thing worth preserving. Lysara stepped forward, tears glimmering between her 4 eyes. You gave her something no one else remembered to offer, she whispered. Hope, the sovereign smiled. A terrible, beautiful thing. Translator Lysara, she said, you will accompany the human to his world. Bring back seeds. Bring back the knowledge of how to make beauty again. She turned to the jasmine in her hands. And human, she added softly. Tell your grandmother that her garden has just rewritten the destiny of 17 worlds. As Elias and Lysara left the hall, he glanced back one last time. The mighty sovereign of the Valtari dominion sat upon the steps of her throne, cradling a single fragile flower, and whispering in an ancient tongue words that needed no translation. Welcome home, little one. We will grow you a garden worthy of peace. And somewhere, beyond the reach of human senses, a star that had been dying for 1,000 years flickered once more. The end.